So I came across a comment on my live stream highlights video where I had just kind of been talking about how people go out, they get one fighter thrall or two fighter thralls, they get their crafters, and then after that they kind of just get dancers and place them everywhere. And I was half joking during the live stream, half not, because a lot of people actually do this. But the comment that I came across said, well, I run a corruption build, so I don't keep any dancers around. And that struck me as kind of odd because there are ways around having dancers and having corruption. So I wanted to kind of put together a corruption / how to have a dancer guide for you guys. Hopefully you enjoy it, and let's jump right into it. So first of all, let's explain corruption, and to do that, I'm going to give myself corruption by equipping a weapon that gives my character corruption. There are a handful of ways to get corruption. If you're looking for it, the best possible way to get it is to actually get your hands on one of these weapons. This happens to be the Black Heart Blade, but there are other weapons that are also going to give you corruption. The purpose of corruption is kind of two-part. One, it inhibits your health and your stamina, so it is a negative effect on your character. However, it's also useful for sorcery in certain builds. So there is absolutely a reason for corruption on your character. And when you have heavy corruption, you can actually use that to change your attributes. You can see that I can corrupt my vitality line. Now there are only 3 attributes that will be affected by corruption. Obviously, vitality is one, strength would be another, and then the last would be authority. We'll come back to using corruption on attributes a little bit later on in the video. Now, dancers give you an entertained buff, and while you're entertained, you will lose your corruption. That is one of the many ways to rid yourself of corruption. So it's understandable that some people may not want to keep dancers around. However, it is possible to have the look of dancers in your base without actually getting that entertained buff, meaning that you can have people dancing in your base without losing any of your corruption. You can see the thrall behind me dancing currently is not giving me the entertained buff. And how I'm doing that is by using the emote system and just going in and setting them to a specific dance. Now, this is not an entertainer. It will not work if you use an entertainer and use an emote. It only works if you use a combat thrall, or really any thrall that isn't an entertainer. And then you simply just give them an emote and you can have a faux dancer. But you can actually keep corruption and have dancers around, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You can see right now my health and my stamina are currently still corrupted, even though I have the entertained buff. And that all comes down to corrupting your attributes. You can see I have just 1 point placed in vitality to corrupt that attribute. The more corruption points you have in your attributes, the more corruption you'll lock in. And with 5 attribute points spent in corrupting my vitality, you can see that I remain lightly corrupted. At 10 points spent in corruption, you will remain at medium corruption. Now, you would think that spending 15 points would then put you at heavy corruption. However, it does not. I'm 17 hit points away from being heavy corruption. So 15 points spent in corrupting your attributes doesn't get you all the way up to heavy corruption. Now, in order to stay at heavy corruption, you need to spend 20 points in your attributes corrupting them. I put them all in vitality, but you can mix and match. You don't have to have all 20 in one single attribute. You could put some in strength, some in vitality, and then if you're running authority, you could put some in there as well. As long as you have 20, you will remain at heavy corruption even when you're entertained. Now, if you're wondering how my character still looks normal even with all this corruption, there is a spell that you can use. It is a toggle on and off, and it allows you to conceal corruption. It is this conceal physical effects of corruption, and like I said, that's toggled on and off. And the real purpose of keeping corruption like this is so that you can use the sorcery that's available. Some of the spells in here require a certain amount of corruption. So in order for us to go up a level in sorcery, we have to have 20% corruption. And then again, if we want to escalate to the next level of sorcery, we have to have 40% corruption. And then finally, in order to actually cast a spell, we have to have the corruption there and then a pouch as well. Now, beyond sorcery and the attributes that you can unlock with corruption, there really is no other reason to keep your character corrupted. Now, honestly, if you're not interested in keeping a corrupted character and you don't care about any of these attributes, you can be what I like to call a pocket sorcerer. So it's pretty easy to be a pocket sorcerer. All you really need is to carry one of these weapons that gives you corruption. You can get that corruption instantly and then use whatever sorcery you want to use right after you give yourself corruption. Then put the sword away and you could eat a heart of a hero or use some of the cleansing brews to get rid of your corruption right after you're finished using sorcery. Having something like the Blackheart Blade that says that it's cursed will give you corruption up to the heavy level. Then you just use something like the Cleansing Brew in order to rid yourself of that corruption right after you're finished casting your sorcery. But at the end of the day, I hope this video just helped you understand corruption a little bit better and how you can actually use different systems in Conan Exiles to, say, have dancers even if they're not dancers by using the emote system. Or if you want to have actual dancers, you can lock in your corruption at whatever level you decide to lock it in at. This should also be handy for when you're just exploring the world if you're on a server and you run by a base that actually has dancers in it, even if you try to avoid them most of the time. And I want to know in the comment section below, do you still engage in sorcery, or is it something that's just kind of there and forgotten? I'd like to thank all my YouTube members for your continued support. Y'all are absolute legends. Don't be out of whack. There's another video on the screen right now that you can click to enjoy more of my content.